Alright, so this is episode 8, and like the end of episode 7, this is anime original content. Now, if you remember from episode 7, the Hawks were trying to take this castle because it's a pivotal road that leads to Doldry Castle. Now, the Hawks raiders stretch out rope across the river so that they can cross more easily. Now, Adon does not consider the possibility of a flank attack, and so thusly feels confident that Midland will not take this vital castle. After the raiders complete their task, they send a message to Griffith to move on to the next phase. Griffith's army then stations themselves on a hill and starts chanting to distract the enemy. At first, Adon wants to send out his troops to confront the enemy, but he soon realizes that this is probably a trap to lure him out, thus making the castle's defenses weaker. Therefore, he decides to ignore them for now, which seems like a reasonable idea. After the Hawks raiders cross the river, it's time for them to make their decisive move. Now, funny little tidbit here, there's a hilarious line in the Berserk outtakes that is simply hilarious. I'm gonna put it right here just so you can see.
He's gonna jerk me off!
Alright, so moving on. Upon hearing that the Hawks raiders have crossed the river, Griffith commands his troops to withdraw. Now, with the threat gone, it seems like, they're in the clear. However, the Hawks raiders pose as fake messengers, thus allowing Guts to enter the castle and start wrecking shop. After opening the front gate, they give the signal to Griffith to rush the castle from the front. And with this two-pronged attack, the Band of the Hawk obliterates the Tudor soldiers, as Guts and Griffith meet each other's gaze in a most epic moment. With little recourse, Adon decides to flee the battle via a secret water channel, and as we've seen before, this is basically his trademark. Now with this decisive victory, the Band of the Hawk has driven a wedge in the Tudor army territory, and thusly opened a path towards Doldry. Once Adon returns to Doldry, Boscan excoriates him for losing the Black Fortress so easily. Now in the manga, we don't meet General Boscan until chapter 23, after Adon's brother Samson dies in battle. Now with us being on episode 8 of the anime, we're still roughly at the chapter 7 mark of the manga. So that's quite a jump. We're seeing Boscan quite a bit earlier than we would in the manga. And again, I actually like this decision. It sort of builds upon his lore a little more. It makes him more of an antagonist, someone that's going to be hard to defeat in the future. Now, back in Midland, Griffith is raised to the rank of Count as Julius finds out that the Hawks are going to be the escort for the King's Autumn Hunt. Of course, Julius cannot accept this. Having a commoner oversee the hunt is just unacceptable. And when Foss plants the idea that he might become a general, he starts to ponder the idea of killing Griffith with a straight arrow. Again, this is another scheme that's devised by Foss, but Julius kind of takes it and makes it his own. And with that, that's the end of the episode. Of course, we had a lot of anime original content, so that's a lot of new stuff right there. But the stuff that they did adapt from the manga was pretty much in line with what we've seen before. So, on to the next episode. Episode 9 starts off with the Autumn Hunt, which matches up quite well with Chapter 8. Guts emphasizes his boredom and explains that he'd much rather be swinging his sword in the battlefield than doing this right now. Quercus decides to excoriate him for risking his life so recklessly, and not enjoying the fruits of their labor. Griffith then starts a conversation with Charlotte, as the tender girl explains that this is her first time hunting, and it doesn't seem like she likes it too much. Griffith shows Charlotte how to blow on a leaf as Casca looks over at them. Now in the anime, she displays a smile and then decides to walk off. But in the manga, she looks a little more conflicted, almost a little bit jealous in a way, so I know at the end of the day it's the same effect, but it is kind of interesting that there is no smile in the manga. Charlotte's horse then gets spooked by the fox as Griffith goes chasing after her. Julius then looks over at his assassin and gives him the authority to take out Griffith. Now Griffith manages to stop Charlotte's horse as the princess expresses her gratitude. The hidden assassin then shoots an arrow into Griffith's chest and Griffith falls into the water. Now the situation seems very dire at first, until Griffith reveals that he's quite fine, and that's thanks to the baylet that acted as his shield. Griffith then identifies the poison on the arrow tip, making him suspect that someone had nefarious intentions. Griffith then catches the gaze of Julius, and immediately ponders the idea that he may have paid the assassin to do this. Julius then excoriates the assassin about the failed attempt on Griffith's life. After dismissing him, Julius feels as though Griffith was looking down upon him after the incident. It almost felt like Griffith was staring at him like a hawk, gazing at his prey. Now when Guts meets Griffith in his chamber, Griffith talks about all the books that he's read, including one that seems to resemble Kama Sutra. However, this tidbit did not make it into the anime, so small little difference there. But again, nothing major. Griffith then explains that he wants Guts to kill a man for him. Now, I'm going to play the audio for this clip right here because I want you guys to hear something.
Well, my friend, I want to ask you to kill a man for me.
Notice how Griffith calls Guts his friend, which he does not do in the manga. And for good reason, Griffith has no friends. A fact that we come to realize in the coming chapters. It actually happens really soon. So it is interesting that the anime decided to add this line because it sort of contradicts his whole philosophy. Now, I believe in the anime he says, I have no true friend. We'll have to talk about that when we get there. I can't remember the exact phrasing. It is a weird thing though, because presumably they read the manga beforehand, so they would know that Griffith doesn't consider anyone his friend. It might have just been a slip up, they just probably forgot about it. It's innocuous when you hear it. You don't immediately connect the points, but yeah, I feel like it is a little bit of a drop of the ball there. Like, I feel like that should have been removed, but it is what it is. Griffith then reveals that the assassin used colabobean extract to coat the arrow that they used against him. And now he wants Guts to eliminate the man responsible for this whole incident. The man second in line to the throne, Julius. And that's the end of episode 9.